Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So here we will see in this section how Narada Muni is trying to help Dhruva achieve the Supreme Lord. So the method of achieving Supreme Lord, the method of cognition, is not something very gross. It is such a very subtle thing. So I thought I will explain some points related to that. How the Vedic knowledge is very subtle. And sorry, the way the knowledge that is received in Vedic times is a very subtle way of achieving knowledge, not very gross. That's why we see there are so many achievements in Vedic culture. The value of pi, Pythagoras theorem, or the speed of light, the distance between the planets. All these things are known before the Copernicus he discovered this telescope or whatever. And because unlike modern civilization, we found by the representative of Vedic civilization is completely different way. And that's actually what Narada is going to teach Dhruva also. We know the world from outside by external means, but by some external means. And the Vedas explain how a person can gain the same knowledge and much deeper knowledge, but from inside. So this is a great difference. So having acquired this knowledge from within, we can comprehend much more about ourselves. So Vedas, they reveal this esoteric knowledge. They postulate one very important fact. They say why we are in this world. So in order to become happy, right? So only for this. Now we have one other goal. Like everything else is means to achieve this goal. And what is the difference between Vedic culture uh, is very important for modern Vedic. We understand the secret of harmonious existence in the world. That's actually the point I wanted to make. We have to see the harmonious existence in this world. That means to be happy, a person must live in a harmony. Any imbalance, any disharmony, any violation of harmony leads to misfortune or suffering. And that's the reason we are all suffering. A person must live in harmony with space. And say, according to Vedic culture, for example, if we take Vastu Shastra, this is a very nice example. Means there are, we may devotees say Vastu don't apply, but it is actually uh, not correct. If as much as possible we should go, because say like we have to follow the science. This is a science. And of course, if Krishna gives a house in a donation which is not in Vastu, that's a different thing. But if we are constructing, we should go according to this because it's science. Say, for example, uh, we have to, people who are in Vastu Shastra, they understand that you are not supposed to construct in this area. Like this part is the head of Vastu Purusha. So if you are making something, that means you are standing on the head of Vastu Purusha, and it is very annoying to him because who will be pleased having somebody sitting on the head? Because he becomes unhappy, or a very symbolic figure that symbolizes animate space. So this animate space gives some kind of reaction. So people of modern civilization, they cannot understand how this works, especially because the people of this world, they are very very rude. But in by the Vedas, due to the subtlety of approach and the reasons of the subtlety of this approach, they understand it very nicely. How every space can repay us or take revenge on us. If you treat even space also correctly, that means in essence, space is also animate. If we are living in space, we live in space, right? We have no choice but to live in space. That means we should respect the space also, respect the laws by which it is built. And for this, there is Vastu Shastra, which explains how a person should position himself in space in order to be happy. That's why this is a science. So Ayurveda is also same thing. Ayurveda says that, okay, look at the person how he eats. Because in modern people, even it does not occur only. They don't understand that they need to look in a particular direction. So that means, because people don't have much time, but in Vedas say that if you look in one direction, the result will be one. That means while eating, you have to sit in a particular east facing and eat. It has a effect on our digestion. And but modern people, they don't have time. They just go to restaurant, and while walking, talking, doing so many things, they eat. That's not the way of eating actually. Uh, That means the Vedas say that if you look in one direction, the result will be one. If you sit in another direction, you get a different result. And even serving also, you should serve. If you are serving Brahmanas, it should be you are putting towards right, from right to left. If you are serving for a Shraddha ceremony, it should be left to right. Your spoon should move in that way. If you are giving to Devatas, it should be from our side to the front. And if we are taking ourselves, we should take inside. So the movement of hand, the movement of the spoon we are serving, everything has certain effect. So that's actually what is true. They said, uh, so it's all very nicely studied, and we see here, uh, here Dhruv Maharaj is going to get some instructions from Narada, and now further he is going to tell about the pranayama and yoga. There also I'll try to explain how subtly this science works. So first we'll take some points from Prabhupada. Prabhupada has some nice things to share. He says, Dharmartha Kama Mokshayam Ye Ichche Charaye Atmanaha Yekam Hi Eva Harastatra Karanam Pada Sevanam. Any person who desires the fruits of the four principles, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at end liberation, should engage himself in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For worshippers, lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all these desires. Prabhupada writes that in Bhagavad Gita it is said that only with the sanction of Supreme Personality of Godhead can the demigods offer benediction. Therefore, whenever any sacrifice is offered to a demigod, the Supreme Lord in the form of Narayana Shila or Shalagram Shila is put forward to observe the sacrifice. Actually, the demigods cannot give any benediction without the sanction of Supreme Lord. So this is sorry, very simple argument. For demigod worshippers, it is quite tough, but for us, it is very simple. And Narada Muni therefore advised that even for religiosity, economic development, sense gratification development, one should approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, offer praise, and ask for the fulfillment of one's desires at the lotus feet of Lord. This is real intelligence. Any intelligent person never goes to demigods to pray for anything. He is directly going to the Supreme Lord. And then it says, Lord Sri Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, performance of ritualistic ceremony is not actually religion. So this is a very nice point. It is not performing. So people say we are following certain religion, but Prabhupada is clear. Performance of ritualistic ceremonies is not actual religion. We should not be fooled that, oh, we are so religious. So the real path of religion is to surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord. The one who actually surrenders to the lotus feet of Lord, there is no question of any separate endeavor for economic development. A devotee engaged in the service of Lord is not disappointed in the satisfaction of his senses. If he wants to satisfy his senses, Krishna fulfills that desire. So Nardaman therefore advised Dhruva to take shelter of Vasudeva. So he just previous verse he just trying to tell that okay, your mother told same thing you should do. That's what he told. The great says Nardaman, the instruction given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional service to Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. So, and then he says, anything, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, anything can be achieved, only go to the Supreme Lord. That's all. So, it was very clearly explained to him. So, only to Supreme Lord. Everything can be achieved with the help of Supreme Lord. So, he is trying to increase the faith of Dhruva. Right? Then further he says that तत्रात गच्छ भद्रं ते यमुनां तमः शुचि तमं शुचि पुण्यं मधुवनं यत्र सान्निध्यं नियताधरे. My dear boy, therefore wish all good fortune for you. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvan, and there be purified. Just by going there, one draw nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lives there. Now he is directly sending him to Vrindavan. So that time also Vrindavan is there. Krishna will come and perform Leelas later, but Madhuvan is there. And this is a very nice thing because if somebody is innocent, as soon as one enters into Dham, he will experience Bhav. So that is the advantage. Simplicity, we are not experiencing Bhav means we are not very simple. Both Narada Muni and Suniti, the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, advised Dhruva Maharaj to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Narada Muni is especially giving him directions how this worship of Supreme Person can very quickly fructify. He recommends that Dhruva Maharaj go to the bank of Yamuna, where there is a forest of the name Madhuvan, and began his meditation and worship there. So now Prabhupada is writing, the place of pilgrimage yield a special advantage for a devotee to quickly advance in spiritual life. So I told now, space. We should be respectful to the space. City has a particular vibration in the space, and Dham has a particular vibration. So space is a animate thing. It's not inanimate. We have to respect the space. Even devotees, we respect everyone, right? So why we should not respect the space? That means the rules of Vastu are applicable because we are dealing with a person, animate person. So we should be respectful. But if Krishna arranges something for us, say we got a burial house or something as a charity, Prabhupada took that and he started a temple there. The point is, if Krishna is giving something, we accept. But on our own, we always follow the rules. We respect everyone like that. And Krishna says, Yatra Gayanti Mad Bhaktan, Tatra Tishtha Minara. There are many places of pilgrimage in India, especially Badrinath, Dwarka, Rameshwaram, Jagannath Puri. These sacred places are called four dhamas. Dhamas can immediately Dham refers to a place where one can immediately contact Supreme Lord. So you see, we can directly come in touch with the Supreme Lord in Dham. And similarly, other places of pilgrimage are Prayag and Mathura, and the topmost of all of them is Vrindavan. Unless one is very advanced in spiritual life, it is recommended that he live in such holy places and execute devotional service. But an advanced devotee like Narada, who is engaged in preaching work, can serve the Supreme Lord anywhere and everywhere. So, like for us, we had to better to stay in Dham only or near the Dham or regularly go to Dham. This is one of the instructions in nectar devotion also. We have to practice like that. Otherwise, we will get distracted. Maya is so powerful and city is such a passionate place. We get carried away. The amount of focus we can do in Dham and that in city is very, 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 very different. We can immediately see because Dham has such vibrations. To focus on Lord, to meditate, to remember Him becomes so natural in Dham, which is not possible in cities. So we should be we should understand it. And at some point of life, uh, we should go to Vrindavan. No, we should never go to Vrindavan. We should always stay in Vrindavan. So if somebody asks you, should we go to Vrindavan? You should say no. What we should say? Don't go to Vrindavan. Always stay in Vrindavan. That is our instruction. But for preaching, we come out, we do preaching and go back like that. Prabhupada said 1 month Mayapur, 1 month Vrindavan. But anything, at least 2 months he is giving time. We can add 2 more months also. Yes, unless one is very advanced in spiritual life, it is recommended. Prabhupada is only writing that he live in such holy places and execute devotional service directly from Prabhupada. But an advanced devotee who is engaged in preaching work can serve the Supreme anywhere. That means we should always keep this as a goal that, okay, I should go to Dham and stay. And I will have something at city to preach, but ultimately it is Dham only I should take shelter. And Narada Muni goes to hell also and come for preaching. And hellish condition do not affect Narada because he is engaged in greatly responsible activities in devotional service. And Narada says, according to the statement of Narada Muni, Madhuvan, which is still existing in Vrindavan area in the district of Mathura, is most sacred place. And many saintly people still live there. There are 12 forests in Vrindavan. And 5 one side, and Prabhupada write all the names. Prabhupada became immediately ecstatic. Bhadravan, Bilvavan, Lohavan, Bandiravan, Madhuvan. So 5 on eastern bank of Yamuna, and the western bank of Yamuna there are 7. Madhuvan, Talavan, Kumadavan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Khadiravan, and Vrindavan. So in those 12 forests, there are different ghats on the bank, bathing places. They are listed as follows. Abhimukha, Adhiruda, and Guhya Tirtha, Prayaga Tirtha, Kanakala, Tanduka Tirtha, Surya Tirtha, Vatsavami, Dhruva Ghat. So Dhruva Ghat is also there. Dhruva Ghat, where there are many nice trees of fruits and flowers, and is famous because Dhruva Maharaj meditated and underwent severe penance and austerities there for in an elevated spot. And Rishi Tirtha, Moksha Tirtha, Buddha Tirtha, Gokarna, Krishna Ganga, Vaikunta, Asikunda, Chattu, Sima Pupa, Akrura Tirtha, where Krishna and Balram are going to Mathura in a chariot by Akrura. All of them took bath in this ghat. या जीवक विप्रस्थान Kubja Kupa, Rangasthala, and Machasthala, Mallayuddhasthala, and Dashashvamedha. This is all actually to Mathura. But there are other ghats in Vrindavan also. We have Cheer Ghat, we have Govind Ghat, we have Kalia Ghat, we have so many other ghats in Vrindavan also. So just by taking the name only we get purified. So that's why Prabhupada wrote the names. शान्तावानुस्सवनं तस्मिन् कालिन्द्या शैले स्वी कृत्वोचितानि निवसन् आत्मनः कल्पितासनः. Narada Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of Yamunarava, which is known as Kalindi, you should take bath. You should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred, and clean. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles of Ashtanga Yoga and sit down on your asana, sitting place, in a calm and quiet position. So this Ashtanga Yoga, I will try to discuss this more detailed, but not Ashtanga Yoga, about subtlety. How the consciousness affects the matter, and that's how the Narada is trying to help. So we don't want to get affected by matter. We have to change our consciousness. The formula is very simple. If you get highest consciousness, you'll not have matter only. We are becoming more and more gross. The matter is affecting us because consciousness is getting polluted. If we refine our consciousness, we get a settler body. Like more we contaminate, more we get grosser. Devata's body you take, their consciousness is much subtler. That's why their body is very subtle. And more higher and higher. Say Brahma's consciousness is the most subtlest. And that's why his body is also, they say it is made of intelligence. So it is very subtle body. That's why we cannot see the Devatas because their bodies are not, gross like our material body. You're understanding? We defile, then we get body of animals. Their consciousness is very dull. That's why they get a very conditioned body. They cannot do many activities what we are doing. We can nicely cook and eat, have a nice house, and do so many things. That means our body is better than their body because they're because it is based on consciousness, right? If I make my consciousness finer, then I'll get a demigod body. I'll not have this body. And the highest uh, consciousness is what? When we attain prema. Then we don't have anything material. Then we get a spiritual body. That means you are seeing the connection between matter and consciousness is what? The more the consciousness is purified, the subtler the body we get. Like that. So, and here, Prabhupada writing, it appears from the statement that Dhruv Maharaj had already been instructed how to practice the eightfold yoga system, which is known as Ashtanga Yoga. This system is explained in our Bhagavad Gita as it is in the chapter entitled Dhyana Yoga. It is understood that in Ashtanga Yoga, one practices settling the mind and then concentrating it on the form of Lord, as will be described in the following verses. See what they are doing? The Ashtanga Yoga helps to make the mind calm. That means they are refining the consciousness. So that's very, it is clearly stated here. Ashtanga Yoga is not a bodily gymnastic exercise, but a practice to concentrate the mind on the form of Vishnu. Presently, Ashtanga Yoga is used for all these purposes to have good health, reduce weight, and other things. Before sitting on his asan, which is also described in Bhagavad Gita, one has to clean himself very nicely in clear or sacred water 3 tries daily. The water of Yamuna is naturally very clean and pure. Of course, not now. It comes to Delhi. Delhi is one of the most polluted cities in the world. And the water passes through Delhi. Can you imagine what water will come in? But still we take bath. And thus if anyone bathes there 3 times, undoubtedly he will very greatly purified externally. Of course, internally also we get purified. That's the reason we take bath in Yamuna. So it's like you're taking in some chemical chemical water only. But still we take. I also took just recently. I took bath there because we know Yamuna will purify. This water is not externally it is different, but it is in Vrindavan, and the sacredness, the divinity will never go. Yamuna is always pure in that way. And that Narada Muni therefore instructs Dhruva Maharaj to go to the bank of Yamuna and thus become extremely purified. This is part of gradual process of practicing mystic yoga. Pranayamena trivata pranendriyamanomalam sannyurvyudasyabhidhyayena manasa gurunam gurum. After sitting, I wanted to explain more, but I wanted to cover some shlokas because this is 80 shlokas are there in this chapter. And we will cover some point. Then I'll definitely want to explain this very nice concepts, few points only. It says, after sitting on your seat, practice the three kinds of breathing exercises, and thus gradually control the life air, the mind, and the senses. Completely free yourselves from all material contamination, and with great patience, began to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means we should not be in hurry. We should be completely calm in mind, mode of goodness. We should think that eternity is ahead of me, so that I need not worry, run everywhere. That is how we have to feel, even when chanting also. Said, okay, I don't have anything to do in life except for chanting. So then it becomes easy. Today is Ekadasi, so we can chant more. So here and this in this verse, the entire yoga system is described in summary. Prabhupada says the special stress is given to the breathing exercise for stopping the disturbing mind. Even now also many people they just do a few breathings of pranayama even while doing Gayatri or just before chanting they do pranayama to keep the mind calm, and it definitely helps. If we are completely disturbed here, there, so much mind is disturbing. So the technique is that we take the breath, exhale all the air, and then we hold. That means there is no breath in, no air inside. You inhale, completely exhale, and then hold. Immediately, mind comes to a present state. That's the way to bring the mind to present. If it's so much distracted by past and future, we have to help ourselves with this technique. Just inhale, exhale, and hold. And immediately mind says, oh, what is happening? The mind don't have option. It comes back. Here Prabhupada is telling the same thing, that the special stress is given to the breathing exercise for stopping the disturbing mind. The mind by nature is always oscillating, but it is very fickle. But the breathing exercise is meant to control it. The process of controlling the mind may have been very possible in those days, millions of years ago, when Dhruva Maharaj took to it. But the present moment, the mind has to be fixed directly at the lotus feet of Lord by chanting process. So that time also Dhruva is doing bhakti, but he is doing bhakti taking help of this method because that was easy in the time when Dhruva was practicing, because the whole environment is filled with sattva. So it was very easy to meditate. Even though some incidents like Dhruva got insulted because of ignorance and passion, some incidents are there, but in general, it's all sattva. So that's why it is easy to concentrate. Now, the food we are eating, the environment we are so much affected by all these incidents that happens around us in the family, in the society, around the world. So everything has an influence in mind. So for us to focus is almost impossible. That's why Prabhupada writes that in this age it is not possible. It was possible in previous ages, that too millions of years ago. And Prabhupada says that by chanting, we can immediately uh, concentrating on sound vibration and think of the lotus feet of Lord, and very quickly one is elevated to the position of samadhi or trance. If one goes on chanting the holy name of Lord, which is not different from the personality of God, naturally his mind becomes absorbed in thoughts of the Lord. And It is here recommended by Dhruv Maharaj that he meditate on the Supreme Guru or the Supreme Spiritual Master, and that is Krishna, is Chaitya Guru, which is Super Soul who is sitting in everyone's heart. So he helps from within, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and he sends the spiritual master who helps from without. And Prabhupada read, the process by which we give up our thoughts of material thing is called pratyahara, which entails uh, being freed from which all material thoughts and engagements. The word abhidhayate, which is used in this verse, indicate that unless one's mind is fixed, one cannot meditate. The conclusion, therefore, is that meditation means thinking of the Lord within. So, whatever one comes, whether one comes to this stage by the Ashtanga Yoga system or by the method recommended in Shastras, especially for the present age, to constantly chant the holy name. The goal is to meditate on the Supreme Personality. So, it is also very clear here. So, very nicely Prabhupada is clarifying. He said, you do Ashtanga Yoga or whatever you do, ultimately you have to meditate on the Supreme Lord. So then the purpose is served. You may take other methods, but other methods are not practical in Kali Yuga. Therefore, it is recommended better you take this method of chanting Hare Krishna like that. Prasadabhimukam saraswat prasanna vadane kshanam sunasanam subhadra Subhruvam Charu Kapolam Surasundaram. In fact, now Narada told Dhruva to meditate on the Lord. Now you should tell how the Lord looks also. He says the face of Lord is described here. The Lord's face is perpetually very beautiful and pleasing in attitude. The devotees who see him, he appears never to be displeased, and is always prepared to award benediction to them. His eyes, his nicely decorated eyebrows, his raised nose, and his broad forehead are all very beautiful. He is more beautiful than all the demigods. So, see, that is actually the point for the people in the previous ages. Just one time, Narada described how the Supreme Lord is there. He could immediately start meditating. He did not show any portrayal of the Supreme Lord or any three-dimensional deity or any other thing. He just told he looks like this, and then Dhruva meditated. And he could immediately connect. Yes, he's like that only. So that is the advantage in previous ages, which we are not. Like now we heard the description. Now if we tell, okay, repeat what did you hear? We say, oh, wait a minute, I forgot. So for us to remember how many times we hear, we will not be able to remember like what it was in previous ages. And Prabhupada writes that this verse clearly explains how one has to meditate on the form of Lord. Impersonal meditation is a bogus invention of modern day. In none of the Vedic literature is impersonal meditation recommended. In Bhagavad Gita, when meditation is recommended, the word mat paraha, which means pertaining to me, is used. And any Vishnu form pertaining to Lord Krishna, because Lord Krishna is the original Vishnu. Sometimes someone tries to meditate upon impersonal Brahman, which is also described in Bhagavad Gita as avyakta, unmanifested, impersonal, but it is troublesome. So this is also Lord tells that he remarks on the Lord himself that those who are attached to this impersonal feature of the Lord suffers very troublesome task because no one can concentrate on the impersonal feature. One has to concentrate on the form of Lord. Okay, happy Ekadasi. Any questions, comments? Yeah, thank you all very much. Yes, Proj. Bir Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Dhanavad.
Prabhu, this pranayama means, Prabhu, breathe in and breathe out, then hold. Is it like this, or breathe in,
There are
hold?
different ways of the Anulom, Pratilom, and Kapalabhati. I am also not very expert in this, but this is just to control the mind. This technique is used. Say suddenly I am getting so much distracted, but I want to focus. They say, okay, do this immediately. So immediately mind comes to the present. So we focus just for the technique I told.
So it is recommended before chanting, we may do some exercise, maybe 5-10 minutes, something like that.
Means for somebody they do it because it is helpful for them. It is not compulsory, but it is anukul. It is favorable, so people do it. So that like that. We don't want to become yogis, but we want to do bhakti only.
Right. Thank you.
Next. Yes, Gail Mats.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I just want to understand this Vastu thing better because I never heard it put like this before. So when we say we should respect Vastu, I know it's a science, but also just ordinary space. You're saying there is a personification of this element of space, right?
Yeah.
And so in our mundane, everyday, day-to-day lives, right?
Yeah.
How do we, I mean, this concept is a bit abstract for me. So how do we show respect for space?
No. The respect for space is like I was telling, na, that when you are constructing, because we are living in a space. So when you are constructing the place, you should respect the person who is personified. And in that way, you make it. That's why there is Vastu science, Vastu Shastra science to make us that, okay, you respectfully make something. Because I want to live means I live in space only. So I should respect it like that. So
But
you
uh, so you were focusing more on like when we are constructing a home
yeah,
or
because that's where you stay, na. Place space is where we stay.
because when you were saying something about like sitting on the deity, not deity, but
Vastu
the
Purusha.
Vastu Purusha, like can you repeat that part? How do we like sit on the
Like say
Purusha?
you are constructing and this part is the head of Vastu Purusha. Like say any plot you take, then there is a Vastu Purusha who presides that place. Like say you purchased a plot, say 100 yards by 100 yards something. Now you want to
Uh-huh.
construct. So where the
Uh,
head of the Vastu Purusha comes, so every space you have the shape of Vastu Purusha. So where head is there, you should not construct anything. You should leave it free like that.
oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so like
You
no
construct something on his head, he'll get irritated and he will make sure that you don't get anything good. So,
so no part of the building should be on that part.
that should be a free space like that.
Free space. Oh,
But now
interesting.
nobody follows anything. That's why nothing good happens to them also anyway. So
Yeah.
life is very miserable. Health gets spoiled, relationships are spoiled, financial problems, career problems, this problem, this problem. So then they say in India this is there. Then immediately they call the astrologer, say, please can you check no, what is the problem with my house? Immediately people have this understanding. They say they go to astrologer and tell maybe some problem with my house. Then he comes and says, yes, this problem is there. You move your shelf in this area, you shift your bedroom this side, and no kitchen should be this. So they'll make some little adjustments, and then they will do some shanti for Vastu, and then they will settle it.
Hmm. Another thing, I wish that there was some video for this when you were discussing the how the proper way to serve people, right? Like you move
Oh,
the spoon away from you or towards you or from left to right,
okay.
without
Tomorrow I will on my video and again show because now I will
yeah,
show
because
it
that was
again.
very interesting.
Yeah, I'll show
The
it again.
One last thing, Prabhu, is what I heard when it comes to living in the Dham, right? That, when we are in this conditioned state, since the dham is really purely, for service to Krishna, it's not a place to go to like enjoy or to be like a tourist, or it should be in service to Krishna when you go, not in service to yourself. But in a conditioned state, because our default mode is like selfish enjoyment, then the dham, you know, once the initial um, consciousness, you know, once that service mood wears down like a little bit, then the living in the dham will feel a little uncomfortable, and then at that point you can more easily commit offenses. So in
Yeah,
the
we need proper training actually before entering also. That is also very important. Like say,
Mm.
we don't immediately go. After a few years of getting properly trained and understanding the importance, then we go, stay for some days, come out, stay for some days, come out. Slowly,
Yeah,
slowly we get used to it, and then we go for more time.
right, like this. That's kind of
We should
my
get trained
understanding.
because you are dealing with something very subtle. So we are now in a gross state. We go there. Definitely we see only gross things. So much traffic. Better I stay in some place where is no traffic.
Mm. Yeah, okay, yeah, because if we think that we can go there, depending upon the person's consciousness, right? But if we think
Yeah,
we can go there and just live, because that's what the acharyas recommend, we might get a rude awakening if our consciousness is not really ready
yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah, just wanted to say this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Vrindavan Gopal.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble success. Prabhuji, thank you very much, Prabhuji, for giving deep perspective of Prabhupada purports. So, Prabhuji, you're telling in discussion ki the uh, means you have to make our consciousness more finer, and like how as we proceed from the lower planets to upper planets, so different living entities who are living in different planets, they are having more finer consciousness. So
Yes, yes.
when we are saying like making our consciousness finer, means can you please elaborate it little bit, means how, means what is exactly mean by making our consciousness finer? Like,
Yeah, like say now we become more sensitive and we feel we understand we try to live in harmony. We try to be less non-violent. Sorry, we want to be we don't want to be violent to anything around. So in that way, like say now when I am so selfish, thinking about myself, when I am very small, the consciousness is very gross, and then we evolve slowly, then we know that other people are also existing, so we become careful about others. When I'm very small, I am only interested in my eating and my sleeping. When I grow, I know that there are friends also, so we elevate in the consciousness. You want to then when we go further, then there is a family and all, then you start caring for others, taking responsibility for others, family and all, then you enjoy more in that responsibility because your consciousness become much finer, your enjoyment increase. When I am very small, my enjoyment is only for my food and my sleep. But when I am 3 4 years, then I have friends, want to play with the friends, so my consciousness grew, I enjoyed more. And further you become more, then you study and you go further, then marriage, and you start taking responsibility of family, the enjoyment is much more finer. And then people do service to the society, so they have much more elevated consciousness because they are selfless. So then they will get much higher pleasure. You say, Arey, why you are going and doing service to this old people or poor people or destitute people? Because he is experiencing a higher level of pleasure, his consciousness is elevated. And then highest consciousness purpose is serving the supreme lord, so we get higher. So even in demigods also, they have very refined consciousness. That's why their quality of enjoyment is also like that. So if I am very gross, then I may enjoy in violent food, eating non-veg and alcohol and all. But if I am very fine in consciousness, then my quality of food which I enjoy is also, very good quality, organic and more natural. So in that my enjoyment comes. I will not enjoy in a alcohol, tamoguna beverages. I may enjoy in mango juice and some other very sattvic items. So like that. So the consciousness is connected to the quality of life, quality of enjoyment. So more I am fine, then I will not enjoy anything on earthly planet. I'll enjoy in heavenly planet because their enjoyment is much finer like that. Clear, bro?
Yeah, yeah. Prabhuji, just one more additional question if you have some time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So Prabhuji, so this is just one question I was having. So like whenever we are rendering any material services to some material peoples in like means for example who are working in some companies, right? So so is this also due to some like past runanubandha or past runa for that particular peoples? Like means we have some runes in past life, so that's why we are rendering service to them. Is it a right understanding?
With our family, with our work, yes, there will be some connection from the past because of karma. And but when we like say you have some karma to your wife or children and husband and other family members, that's why you are born there and you are trying to settle the accounts with them. That you have to serve this lady, you have to serve this person, and children also. We have some runa for the children. That's why they take birth in our family and we try to settle the accounts. That is when it comes to devotees, Krishna makes sure that we are still in, we'll be in the same condition only. Not much change will happen, and whatever we have to go through, we'll go through all the situations. Only thing is Krishna adds one more factor. He adds that we become closer and closer to him. So he arranges the situation in such a way that we get association of devotees who will explain us to understand the same situation. Say I have to become sick, for example. Now, according to my karma. So Krishna does not change much. I'll become sick only. But what Krishna does, he gives the association of devotee and he gives us some other opportunity to serve him. So in that way, even I am sick also, I will get a right understanding. Okay, my sickness is my karma. I have to surrender to more Krishna. I have to chant more rounds. I take this opportunity to make more progress. So that's what is Krishna's mercy. We can see it to a greater extent. He does not change much. That's why astrologists, when they see, they say, we already know that you are going to become sick. Where your karma change. So Krishna also does not change much in that way. He will make sure, he will use whatever we have, but he adds this one factor, which is always like, say, somebody gets an accident, devotees also get accident, devotees also become sick, devotees also get exploited, devotee also go to very severe crisis in life. So it all happens, but Krishna adds that they are always in the association of devotees. Somebody is like one devotee was going through supposed to go through very severe problem, and that is the time I went to their house. I said, okay, we'll have deities at your house. So we kept deities in their house for service. He said, okay, you serve the deities. Somehow I went, and then immediately the crisis started further in life, maybe after some time. And then the devotee understood that Lord came to my house because he knows that I am going to go through this crisis in life in future. Lord came to give me protection. And the crisis went almost for 2 years. And 2 years somehow they managed to serve and now they came out of it. The point is that Krishna knows that I am going to go through this. So Krishna comes and make arrangement, he helps so that we are protected in this situation. So that means not much will change. But what changes is Krishna adds, the Krishna factor comes in life. So you are working with there is connection between your work and karma. Yes, that is true. There is some Runanubandha is there. But for us, Krishna factor is also there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhuji, for elaborating.
Hare Krishna. Means I answered two questions in this. I
Yes,
wanted to tell that point also.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.